That's what Oprah Winfrey wants her legacy to be. But guess what? It's not.
What?
It's not Mrs. O.
Ooh.
Because you were snookered by the biggest liars in history. And you're now trying to backtrack on those lies because you know that your reputation was shot the moment that you allowed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to try and bring down the British royal family with a tissue of untruths.
Like, I tried so hard.
First, she reveals the interview. She hit back at suggestions that the couple didn't know what they were going to be asked. She then admitted that she had told Prince Harry and Meghan that this was all about a win-win. This is gonna be good for you guys, and it's gonna be good for me. So they sat down to film for the 3.5 hours, and Oprah thought that her career legacy was set. Instead, as we'll soon see, she's now desperately trying to explain why she encouraged Meghan Markle's lies rather than challenged them.
Everyone remembers that interview as a brave princess pouring her heart out to a trusted friend. Let me tell you what it really was. Two of the most calculating women in show business, sitting in a rented Californian garden, using each other for exactly what they each needed. And this week, 5 years on, the whole grubby little arrangement is coming apart in public. And oh, it is a joy to watch.
They didn't know, obviously, anything that I was going to ask them, but I had said to them ahead of time, I'm going to try to cover everything. This interview took 3.5 hours. And as is always the case for me, I was just trying to carefully go through everything that had come up in the past.
No, you weren't. You were just admitting that you wanted it to be a win. You weren't talking about it being a win for the truth or a win for journalism or a win for the British royal family. You were talking about it being a win for Harry and Meghan and for you.
Here's the deal they struck, though neither of them would ever be caught calling it a deal. Meghan Markle needed her battered image scrubbed spotless. And there is no bigger washing machine in America than Oprah Winfrey. And Oprah needed a royal. She'd been hunting one for 30 years. So the two of them sat in that garden and handed each other precisely what they came for.
Trash Panda asking, why do you think she's bringing this all up now? Stephanie Sidley replies, because Harry and Meghan are backpedaling on the racism claims. But the royal grift ain't happy. Maybe I should post the full unedited interview on X so we don't have a rewriting of history. Fuck you, Oprah. You knew what you were doing with this script.
Meghan got her sympathy story, Oprah got her 49 million viewers. And the British royal family, who had done nothing but open their doors to this woman, got thrown under the bus to pay for the pair of them. Strip the tears away, and it was a business deal dressed up as a confession.
She falls in love with the prince, and because of that, she has to lose her voice. But by the end, she gets her voice back.
I get another lecture from you, I'm gonna go crazy.
Two women who have spent their entire lives stage managing exactly how the world sees them, agreeing to stage manage it together for one very profitable afternoon. Now the bill has come due, and suddenly both of these women are very quietly trying to wipe their fingerprints off the weapon.
And this is in regards to, and you know it's what went viral, you know it's what went around the world. Were you silence or silenced? And Oprah is now trying to make this extraordinary argument. And I mean, I say extraordinary in the sense that it's totally not believable, that this action was designed to push Meghan Markle into whether she was actually telling the truth. You've done this job for a very long time. You don't do that. What you say is you say, oh, wow, Meghan, who told you you couldn't speak? We need the names. We've got to call these people out. When did they say that? Who are you referring to? Are you sure? You know, the courtiers say they offered to help you and give you whatever you needed. But she didn't do that, did she? She made one movement, finger to her mouth, and she now claims that that gives her some type of journalistic integrity. I don't think so, Opes.
Meghan's over on MasterChef Australia, pretending she's a homely little cook who lives for family. And Oprah has just sat down with Vanity Fair, been shown that infamous moment back, and physically squirmed in her seat, waving the whole thing away like it was a tiny misunderstanding from a lifetime ago. Don't let that performance fool you for 1 second.
I was silent.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
The latter.
Okay.
She's
Very
embarrassed.
nice. I don't think I've done it since. I don't know where the hell that came from. Whoop. Okay. I wanted to be clear. Was she silenced? Were people telling her not to talk? That's why I said that. I said it for clarification because I didn't want later to hear, well, no, it wasn't that. It really was that I was silenced. They wouldn't let me talk. So it was all for clarification.
Bullshit, Oprah. You've literally just said what you should have asked. Were people telling her not to talk? You didn't ask that. You played into a lie. And as a result, your legacy is now trashed, and you know it.
This isn't a woman who's found her conscience. This is a woman protecting Oprah. The story these two sold the world is falling to bits, and neither of them wants to be caught standing next to it when it finally hits the floor. So tonight we're doing something the tabloids never do. We're putting both of them in the dock. The truth is, they deserved each other.
They play her this old clip from 2021 where basically during the pandemic, when people are locked in their homes, they're struggling to pay their bills, their businesses have been shut down, Oprah, Meghan Markle, and Prince Harry sat around in a massive mansion, I believe owned by Rob Lowe, and complained about how hard their lives were. Now, this is when Meghan Markle stopped being relatable to anybody. People are locked in their homes. People are dying. Their family members are on life support, right, on incubators, and she's sitting there complaining how hard it was for her to live in a palace and be in the royal family eating crumpets and scones. And Oprah realized after that interview, in my opinion, because of all the reporting and all the lies that were debunked, Oprah realized she was used. Meghan Markle is a con artist and she used Oprah Winfrey to launder her image.
Let's start with Saint Oprah. That halo could do with a polish. The fairy tale we were sold is that Oprah did that interview out of friendship and principle. Rubbish. Oprah had been chasing a royal scalp for the best part of 3 decades, and everyone in television knew it. This was never about Meghan. Meghan was simply the one who finally said yes.
She was gunning for this interview. She started poaching Harry and Meghan about a sit down 6 months before they were wed. She was desperate to sit down with Princess Diana, kissing her butt, sitting across from her at Kensington Palace, trying to get Diana to give her an exclusive. Diana lovingly wrote her a note that was like, no way.
And here's the part that tells you everything about both women. Long before Meghan ever came along, Oprah wanted Diana, the real one, the people's princess, the biggest interview on the planet. She went after it hard, so they say, and Diana, God rest her, was far too clever to be reeled in. She sent Oprah a gracious little no and kept her dignity intact.
Wanted to sit down with the Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine, and they said, absolutely no way, that's beneath us. She got Fergie, which is convenient because I think Harry and Meghan are on the Fergie level. But this was a huge win for Oprah Winfrey, who'd been chasing legitimate members of the British royal family for an interview for decades.
Yeah.
Oprah tried again years later with William and Catherine and got the same answer. A polite door shut in her face. The genuine royals could smell the circus coming a mile off. And that right there is the tell. The real royals, the ones with actual class, took one look at Oprah Winfrey and said no thank you. They didn't need her, and they weren't about to hand over 1,000 years of dignity to be picked apart on daytime telly for her ratings.
She knows what the repercussions were. Ultimately, Prince Philip dies weeks later, and we understand that he was devastated over this interview in hospital while it aired. And at the time, I remember some of the headlines that people from the Sussex camp were saying that because he was in hospital, they shouldn't have to hold this interview, that didn't affect them. The poor man dies weeks later. It devastated Queen Elizabeth too. It made the last few years of her life very difficult to navigate. On top of the Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor saga, she had Harry and Meghan accusing her family of racism and bullying and not taking their mental health seriously.
It took a very particular sort of person to say yes to Oprah, someone with nothing left to lose and an awful lot to sell. So who finally bit? The one royal desperate enough to trade the family for a sympathy special.
This interview was historic. It changed the course of royal history. It changed the course of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's lives. And those of us who knew at the time, like you did, that what Oprah Winfrey was actually allowing was lies to be broadcast around the world in an attempt to bring down the British royal family. At the time, we called her out, but she was surrounded, Tash, by so much noise and so much wokery and so many people patting her on the back and saying, oh, well done, you've just changed change the royal family forever. What she didn't realize is that she hadn't done her job. But I think, Tash, as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have been exposed on such a grand scale, such a lengthy period now, Oprah has had to backtrack. And I appreciate that I think she's embarrassed. I think she's deeply, deeply embarrassed, and she wants to change the legacy of this interview.
Meghan wasn't Oprah's dear friend. Meghan was the consolation prize. The runner-up rosette, the only royal on earth willing to sit in that chair, an image to launder and a grudge to settle, and Oprah was the cheapest laundrette in town. Think about how bleak that is for Oprah. 30 years of stalking the palace gates, and the only member of the firm she could land was the one the firm couldn't wait to be shot of. That's not a scoop. That's a woman scraping the very bottom of the royal barrel and calling it a triumph. Well, I never, and now the barrel's gone rotten. She'd very much like us all to forget she was ever near it.
The more you watched it, the more you thought, Oprah, come on, that's not true. Challenge that. Ask her. If she says there's racists in the royal family, who are they? You know, it was a remarkably uninquisitive interview, wasn't it?
Nothing's more compelling than watching a 40-year-old man complain that his allowance has been cut off.
By daddy.
I mean,
by daddy.
Daddy cut off his allowance at 40 years old. Daddy's no longer putting gas in the Range Rover. Daddy's no longer paying the phone bill. Oh, gosh, my sympathies are with you, child.
Yeah.
But, you know...
Heartbreaking.
And if you still believe that famous Oprah warmth is the real thing, well, the internet has spent the last couple of years pulling that apart brick by brick. The empathy was always a performance. That all the leaning in and the soft voice and how did that make you feel was never once about compassion. It was a crowbar, a way to lever open whoever was sitting in that chair and get the tears on tape as the cameras rolled and ask the poor souls who came off worst in that chair. Here's Oprah's other little trick, the one that matters most for our story. She controls the edit, always has. She decides what stays in, what gets quietly snipped out, exactly how you come across the night it airs. When one woman owns the questions and the final cut, the guest was never really the one in charge. Love, you just thought you were.
Oprah Winfrey is so powerful that when she sat down with Vanity Fair to do this, she could have easily said, this one's off the table, this one's off limits, because it is so controversial and it's not a great reflection of her. If I were Oprah Winfrey, I would have been like, I don't want to revisit this one.
Then there's the pattern nobody in Hollywood likes to say out loud. Oprah builds people up, cashes in, and is conveniently 3 miles away the second they turn toxic. She made Dr. Phil a household name. Then came Dr. Oz. She personally sang the praises of a so-called Brazilian faith healer who turned out to be a genuine monster. And every single time the scandal broke, there was Oprah, clean hands, wounded eyes, already halfway out the door. Isn't that telling? The knock on her, and it is a very fair one, is that she is forever at the scene of the crime and never once the one with the knife in her hand.
She thought Oprah Winfrey, who was beloved by Black women across the country, could come on camera and rehabilitate her and make her this victim. This is during Black Lives Matter. You guys have to remember what was going on in 2020 and 2021. She really tried to use Oprah, and Oprah Winfrey has not said anything positive about her since then.
And the charge that stings hardest is the newest one, that the whole saintly act, the schools, the charities, the tearful specials, is a costume she puts on to get her hands on whatever she's after, and the moment the cameras stop rolling, so does the empathy. When she caught heat over her own conduct during the Maui fires, she didn't put her hands up. She went on television and cast herself as the real victim, terrorized and vilified. Now that is the Oprah trick in a single sentence. Whatever the mess, somehow she is always the one we're meant to feel sorry for. Good grief.
Oprah does not like being played. She is a rich bitch, whether I agree with her politics or not, or I like her that much, she is a boss. And she realized after that interview, these two are playing me. They played me. She sat in my face and lied.
And notice she has never once paid a real price for any of it. Not for the healers, not for the miracle products that turned out to be junk, nor for the powerful men she beamed beside who turned out to be monsters. Every scandal that would have sunk a normal person just slides off Oprah and lands on somebody else. She doesn't merely appear on the show. For 50 years, she has owned the show, the questions, the edit, and the ending. When you're the one working the scissors, you are never the one who gets cut. Even the giveaways weren't what they look like. That famous "you get a car" moment the whole world coos over, the audience got landed with the tax bill on those cars, and plenty couldn't pay it. That's Oprah in one line, the grand generous gesture on camera, and somebody else quietly footing the bill once the lights go down. So when you watch her squirm away from Meghan now, don't mistake it for decency. This is simply Oprah doing what Oprah has done her whole career, editing herself out of the disaster before it splashes up her shoes.
I realized how successful she'd been. Here was a woman who was nothing. I mean, born, broken family, the whole thing, unknown actress, all the rest of it, becomes a global star, which is what she wanted. When she was about 9 or 10, she said to her father, I want to be famous, I want to walk down the red carpet. And she has now done that. And she's calculated that she could be a great success, and by marrying Harry.
Right, enough about Oprah. As bad as she is at least clever. Meghan hasn't even got that going for her. The read on Meghan that's everywhere online at the minute is that there simply is no fixed person there at all. She's a chameleon. When she dated a chef, out of nowhere she was a passionate foodie. When she landed Harry, suddenly out came the wardrobe and the perfume that had half the world whispering she was styling herself on a woman I will only ever speak of with respect, his late mother.
She had one amazing ability, which was to find a man who needed her.
Oh.
And she played him brilliantly. The actress was sensational.
Whoever is standing in the room, that is who Meghan decides to become. The cruel line doing the rounds is that there's no real self in there to betray, for there was never one there to begin with, and it never stops at the wardrobe. The real knock on Meghan is that she doesn't deal in truth, she deals in narrative. There is always a tale being spun, always a version where she is the wounded heroine and somebody else is cast as the villain. One week it's a palace aide, the next it's the Princess of Wales herself, the one Meghan was perfectly happy to let the world believe had reduced her to tears. Right up until it quietly emerged, it may well have been the other way around.
It's horrible what Meghan has done. And I just feel really sad for the monarchy at times, because I know that's what Meghan has in her sight, to do things to people like Catherine, things that came out in that book, about calling them racist. Like, she takes the most egregious thing you can say about a person.
She doesn't collect friends. She collects useful people, wrings them dry, and climbs to the next rung. Now set that against what's on your telly this very weekend. There she is on MasterChef Australia, having flown to the literal opposite side of the planet, unable to get herself booked on a cooking show in America, and unable to get one in Britain either. And she's drifting around that kitchen telling everyone that food is her love language, that cooking is how she connects with her nearest and dearest. Come off it.
Meghan seems like she could be on the Sarah Ferguson path.
She always looks good. She always survives. You never see a moment of weakness in public. I mean, Meghan is a consummate survival actress.
And the entire internet said the same thing at the same moment. What nearest and dearest? This is a woman whose own father watched her wedding on the telly like the rest of us, whose half-sister she's fought in open court, whose mom was reportedly left sitting almost alone in that chapel, and the wicked joke doing the rounds is that the rest of the family apparently weren't quite camera ready. One of the most shared lines all week was some poor soul swearing that if they'd come downstairs as a child to find their mom had built a giant rainbow fruit platter, they'd have assumed a death in the family. You couldn't make it up.
What mother or father in the name of sweet Jesus has enough time to create a fruit plate at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning when there's toast throwing around the room? And her kitchen was just sterile and awful, and I hate her. I'm so sorry, I really do.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
That is the reaction her cooking gets now. And this soft, nurturing, cook from the heart routine, ask the people who really worked for her. The palace staff who, by multiple accounts, found her so impossible that formal complaints were reportedly made, aides said to have been left in tears. The warmth only ever seems to face the camera. Turn it around, and the stories are of something a great deal colder. And the branding never stops, does it?
Everything she touches turns to shit. And I think every sort of creative person behind her or deep pocket behind her knows it's an extraordinary risk. She's too toxic to touch.
The beautiful local Australian honey. And naturally, there's a beekeeper photo shoot in the archive. The edible flowers, sprinkles from her as ever range, the ones people swear they bought, couldn't get the lid off, and reckon tasted of wet paper, honestly. And here's my favorite bit of hypocrisy. 3 months ago, her team was reportedly furious when a judge dared to call her royalty. Now the whole challenge is built around a dish, and I'm quoting the show, fit for a duchess. $2 grand for the word royalty in April. Flogging Duchess for the ratings in July. How convenient, the sheer audacity. You cannot wear the tiara and the apron at the same time, darling. Pick one.
Journalistic integrity was absolutely shot to shit. It's the best way I can explain it. It was shocking. Even that bit, were you silent or were you silenced? For Meghan to say the latter, who silenced you? How did they silence you? Are you saying the royal family got an NDA? Did they threaten you? How could they stop you speaking? Because I tell you what, you didn't stop speaking the entire time you were in the royal family, so how is it they now managed to silence you?
And this is the delicious part. Oprah scrambling for the exit isn't some lonely little betrayal. She's simply the most famous name in a very long queue of people, backing away from Meghan Markle as fast as their legs will carry them.
If you want to keep your privacy, then don't go out. If you want to go to a restaurant and you want to have, you're having out to dinner with Stedman and Stedman was like, why people are coming up all the time, then let's stay home and eat. And so that has been my approach. Very different though, I think, than being royalty or being even a movie star.
Angela Levin, one of the sharpest royal biographers going, has been saying it plainly for ages now, that Meghan and Oprah aren't friends at all anymore. And Levin even claims Meghan got booed, properly booed, at an event in Montecito. Booed. In the glossy little town she moved to precisely for the A-list neighbors. And now the story doing the rounds is those neighbors cross the road to avoid her.
But she's an incredibly unpleasant woman. The children don't need anything. They're little kids. They don't even know who their grandfather is, or either grandfathers actually. And they don't need how to be royal people. So let's leave it. Let them have their own lives.
And can you blame them? Look at the wreckage. That Netflix show, With Love, Meghan, the one Netflix quietly binned. It crawled in at number 383 on Netflix's own chart. Reruns of her old lawyer drama beat it. And the festive special opened on a flat 0%. Not low, 0.
Just because you marry a prince doesn't mean you can become a lifestyle guru. She really thought in a way she could just sort of, rock up and become the new Martha Stewart. And the problem is she's inauthentic and people have to like you to want to go into your TV kitchen or your mate's kitchen or whatever it is.
Then somehow the thing scrapes a Daytime Emmy nomination. And even Megyn Kelly couldn't keep a straight face. A 38% show, up for a golden statue, in a category with 5 names in it. You can see why the whisper became, you can just buy one of those. Funny that, it's not only the telly either.
Trick that people do with pineapple, instead of just cutting it to make the perfect little bite, you follow the wedge. When nature has given you all the cues on how to have a perfect taste of something.
Oh, how fun is that? I love it.
I like working hard.
This woman is being paid millions of dollars to show how to cut into a pineapple.
Harry gambled on that enormous court case against the Mail's publisher, and the judge chucked out all 97 of his complaints. He called it a whitewash and then laid into the judge himself, which went down about as well as you'd imagine. Even a former Justice Secretary said out loud that going after a high court judge like that was, and I'm quoting him, over the top and unacceptable.
First of all, it was an absolute resounding beating. It was thrown out and the judge was almost annoyed that this had got as far as it had. People were perplexed. When Harry started this, when he went after the Daily Mail, this was for stories a long time ago. Talk about holding a grudge. Talk about not being able to move on. Him and Meghan present themselves as happier than ever, living in Montecito, and here's Harry, still fighting battles from decades ago. So nobody really understood why he was doing this. I know from my sources he was advised not to do this. Any reputable lawyer that he spoke to in London would tell him this is almost impossible to prove and hence to win.
And the other side's editor didn't exactly bite his tongue either. Even old friends have slammed the wallet shut. When Harry came knocking about a funding shortfall, the word out of the south of France was blunt. I'm not an ATM. Netflix has wound down her as ever brand deal. Her approval numbers are scraping the floor at somewhere near 20%, the lowest of her life. And a petition telling the couple, "We don't want you here," sailed past 45,000 names. When the numbers look like that, the rats don't wait for the ship to sink. They dive. Oprah simply dived first, and in the best frock. So let's bring it home. Here's the truth. Nobody dressed it up as at the time. That 2021 interview was never journalism, and it was never friendship. It was a transaction between two women who use people for a living and who, for one afternoon, found each other useful. Meghan used Oprah's good name to sell herself as a victim. Oprah used Meghan's title to bag the royal interview the real royals were far too sensible to ever give her. Thick as thieves, right up until the money ran out. And now look at them. Meghan has lost the palace, lost the press, lost the neighbors, lost the ratings, and this week she's flogging fruit platters on the other side of the world. And Oprah, as ever, is calmly editing herself out of the picture before the stain reaches her, exactly as she's done with every mess she's ever been near. You want to know who really comes out of this whole sorry saga with their dignity? The people these two spent years running down. Diana, who was clever enough to send Oprah packing all those years ago. A late queen who bore every bit of it in silence and never once hit back. A family that took the blows, kept calm, and simply carried on doing the job. They didn't need a rented garden and a sympathetic host. They got on with it. No leaks, no Netflix crew, no borrowed mansion, just duty, quietly done, as these two turned private pain into a product and sold it by the episode. Meghan staked everything on being the victim and hired the most powerful woman in television to sell it. And here's the poetry of the thing. That same woman has now looked back at the whole performance and can barely stand to be in the same sentence as it. There's no honor among these two. There never was. The only genuinely honest thing about that famous interview is that in the end, two women who use absolutely everybody finally went and used each other. Make of that what you will, and they both got exactly what they deserved. So tell me where you land on this one. Who used who worse, Meghan or Oprah? Or are they two of a kind, and honestly, you wouldn't trust either of them to mind your handbag? Drop your verdict in the comments. I read every single one. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about these stories. And subscribe, there's plenty more coming this week. The next chapter drops in a few days, and we're taking that MasterChef appearance apart line by line the moment it airs. You will not want to miss it. This is Star Spotlight, where the smiles are for the cameras, and the truth is in what they're all so desperate to take back.